In this module, we'll take the first steps in creating the cinematic sunlight look in this scene, and that's going to involve bringing in a set of actors that we can quickly gather through this tool called the Environment Light Mixer. So before we begin, let's actually remove the demo lighting level by right-clicking and remove. And same with the MetaHumans, as we'll bring that back just a little bit later, and we don't really need it right now. Let's also double click on the sunlight level just to make sure we're inside that correct sublevel. Okay, so the Environment Light Mixer is under Window, Environment Light Mixer, and I'll just dock that right down here. And this is just a quick tool to bring in these actors and have them link together nicely. So let's actually click this minimal button, go to normal and advanced, as we'll need some of those settings, and click Skylight, Atmospheric Light 0, and Sky Atmosphere. And that brings 3 different actors into our scene and kind of gathers the detail panel all in one little box here. Let's also switch the view mode to lit with Alt 4. And now we see we've got some directional light, but nothing else yet. So underneath the directional light details panel, let's search for atmosphere. There it is. And just cycle this checkbox off and on, and it'll connect with the sky atmosphere that's now giving us this dynamic sky background. We also have a skylight in the scene, and it's not doing anything yet. But if we click on real-time capture, now we get that, and it's connected with that skylight too. So one great tip with an atmospheric directional light is if you hold Control L and move the mouse around, we get this great little pop-up to orient our directional light. And you'll see as we bring it down below, the horizon changes color. It's all dynamic, and it's pretty cool. We can just get this right out of the gate like this. Now, the other actor I want to bring in is going to fix this kind of black void horizon here. And let's click on Place Actors and type Height. And bring in Exponential Height Fog. And I'll just zero out this location as well. And now we get some haze in our room and outside, and we'll also want to make this work with the sky atmosphere. And it's doing something. As we bring our sun down, you'll see it's kind of changing, but if the sun goes below the horizon, we still see bright atmosphere. And that's because we need to zero out 2 different values here. One is the in-scattering color. We'll just drag that down to black. And the other is the directional in-scattering color. Drag that down. And now Control L and I raise the sun, and there we go. We've got a great looking gradient both above the horizon and below the horizon. Let's just orient the sunlight back into the room, kind of like that. And great, so we've got kind of the first 4 building blocks here. I'm going to organize the outliner real quick. This folder for lighting in general, a folder for all of our sunlight stuff that we're doing, and then lastly, a folder for the environmental grouping. So that's referring to the different lighting motivations we talked about last module. All right, so this seems like a pretty good place to start, but remember the skylight is by default brought in with ray tracing off. So if we turn that on, we lose a lot of light, obviously, but let's bring back up the intensity. And oh yeah, it doesn't look like it's working just yet, but what we have to do is actually disable real-time capture. And so now we've got the right shape of our ambience through the windows. But if we Control L and move the sun around, it's no longer dynamic as a result of that real-time capture box. But there's a great workaround here. One is to simply use the recapture button. So we're actually done with the light mixer, so I'll pull that away. But in the Skylight Details tab, we can just search for recapture, click it, and it'll actually resample the scene for the skylight. So if I actually set the sun something like this and then hit recapture, the color gets accurate again. So that's a simple way to do it if you have a static sun and you know exactly what you want. Another way is with the console command. I'll just hit the tilde key and type skylight every frame. Oh, there it is. I can just hit down on the keyboard and that brings it right there. And we'll add 1 to enable. And you'll notice a performance decrease, but now that we have that enabled, if we move the sun, we've got some accurate color ambience going on. So that's just a useful tool. So you can enable it, set your sun, hit the tilde key, and then hit up on the keyboard, and we'll just go to 0. And now we're back. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show in this module. There's obviously a lot of work to do to get closer to the cinematic photorealism we were talking about, and especially to match the references, and there's some reflection things to address. But these are the primary 4 actors we'll use as the environmental lighting that we'll bring in through the window. With this setup out of the way, we can move forward towards adjusting a few different settings in the next module.